the third of the playthroughs is going to be a ranger-based one. We have the very popular Lexi and the ever-so-present Azalea. Both rangers are hard matchups that can give us a hard time, but we can definitely beat them, and this video will hopefully explain how that actually works out. So, yeah, let's just get right into it.
We got Lexi here. Now, Lexi did get a hit. Both Rangers did, obviously, with the bullseye bracers being banned now. We are playing before that ban happened, so this Lexi will be having bullseye bracers. But it definitely makes our matchup a lot easier going into the Rangers without them having bullseye bracers. So, as an Iyslander, I'm very, very happy with that. Now, the thing about Lexi is that she always is kind of in the driver's seat, whether you go first or whether she goes first. And the reason is because the instant speed from Voltaire. So, yeah, so this guy thinks that he's going to auto lose having AB1. I don't think that's really the case. I think you can be just fine. AB1 is okay if you're going fast, and Lexi does go fast, and so therefore I think this person's fine. Okay. Now starting off with the Ren Razor is pretty questionable, but when it follows a 3 of a kind, it's it's hard to resist. Now, honestly, I think I would, if I was the Lexi player, I'd better set that up for next turn. However, Iyslander is disruptive, and as you can see, if he did just Arsenal and pass, I could create a lot of frostbites and really ruin that turn. So I understand the purpose of just going for it as well. And then Bolt Shot's very good here because of that free reload. So looks like I'm going to be taking some chip damage, which is a pretty, just kind of a pain, basically. I'm blocking with the Ice Eternal last, just in case I can keep it, but I know I won't be able to. I know I'm going to be blocking with that next. So by blocking out the Bolt and Shot, I keep it to a 2-arrow turn, and that's really where I want to be. I take 5 off the top, plus any extra from me doing action, so it's pretty gnarly. It's a pretty good start for Lexi, that's for sure. I have a few options with this hand. Winner's Bite, when paired with an attack, I can take away 3 cards out of his hand. And that's exactly what I'm going to go for here. I'm not taking away 3 cards, I should say. I'm taking away 1 card and then probably just getting in for 7. Because I can't imagine that the Lexi's going to block more. But I do like Winner's Bite paired with an attack on my turn. That part I don't mind the card with. When I'm playing it on their turn, in this Lexi matchup, I think Winner's Bite's perfectly fine in the arsenal. But in other matchups, it's a little lackluster compared to some other cards you can put in the arsenal. But yeah, when it's paired with an attack, it's actually pretty damn good. So I'd be pretty surprised. Yeah, I didn't think he would block. I'd been very surprised if that actually happened. But being able to put the Brain Freeze in the arsenal, this allows me to have some disruption. And so with the Lexi flip, I can now activate in response before I get the Frostbite. And this is to hopefully take away their turn. If I hit a blue 0 cost, this would be great. Now he can, because he has the free arsenal space now, he can instant speed load with Voltaire. But he chooses not to. He has a Remorseless, Endless Arrow, and Heat Seeker. So the only target we have is Endless Arrow. But what that's telling me, he has a very red-heavy hand, and I'm probably only going to get hit with 1 arrow. So this is a pretty good turn for me. I'm not quite sure why he didn't just load in response the Endless Arrow, but so be it. Actually, he really should have, because, yeah, looking at it, both those arrows cost 1. So he actually won't be able to shoot me here. And so it's a bit of a misplay on his end. He'll Winner's Bite, just take a card out. I'm very tempted, I think, to even just pay. Well, not pay, I should say, but like just discard a red card here. The Ice Bind isn't as super necessary. Okay. So I would have encased, but because his arrow's already up, him doing his Lexi ability is not going to matter. So I think instead, like had he had put that face down the arsenal, I encase here, we're chilling. But instead, oh, okay, all right. Well, I guess I'm just gonna go for it. That's right. I had to pay for the frostbite. That makes sense. So I go for the encase, and the reason is because now I can put Winter's Bite in the arsenal. I couldn't do that. I couldn't attack with the Fiendless Fighting Spirit because of that frostbite. That's right. So encase here allows the tunic to not be used, the bullseye bracer, the snapdragon. It does do some things here for me. And most importantly, it allows me to put a Winter's Bite in the arsenal. Now it's kind of interesting that he decided to pitch to stop some damage. But he must be like planning to just shoot with one arrow anyways this turn. Because that's how I could see that making sense. So I'm going to wait because I want to try to Winter's Bite when it's most effective. Alright, so he chose to get this go again. And there's no fuse on it. If I want to play Winter's Bite because I want to try to put Channel in the arsenal. And this will force him to pay one resource here. Alright. So now I can block the Frostlock or I can Blizzard it. And by Blizzarding it, he gets 2 Frostbite. He's not going to be able to pay for it to have go again and shoot Heatseeker. So I'm really only taking 3 damage. And 3 damage is a great turn. I can be just happy with that. Alright. Now I can Waning Moon because having that as a 3-card hand wasn't going to do much for me. I could have Ice Eternal for like 1, but that would have been kind of lame. I guess I could have did 2 with the Tunic. But on my turn, I'm going to Coronet Peak and then put the Channeling Fridge in the arsenal. And right now we're only 3 life below. And that's pretty damn good, especially since we just, saw a Rain Razor 3 of a kind turn. Okay. Tripwire Trap is very, very interesting. This is obviously a bit of a spicy build. He does have some pretty normal cards, like even Yellow Winter's Bite's not that spicy, but Tripwire Trap definitely is. It's interesting that he would play it, even against Iyslander, because not all Icelanders are Boldlanders. Alright. So, the idea here is that I can put another Channeling Frigid in the arsenal, come in with the red Aether Ice Vein, and fuse it. I just have to hopefully stop his turn. Now, he does have 3 resources floating, so he's probably going to be pretty fine with that. If I have to, I can block with the red Aether Ice Vein, and then just use the Insidious Chill to activate for Coronet Peak. I gotta imagine a Heatseeker's coming, but no, he comes in with the Frostlock. So he must have the resources able to do his thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit for 3. If by chance he looks to block, I can kind of tell what's in his hand. It doesn't do that, but that's okay. So now it's whether or not I want to block. I choose to do that. Okay. So now he attacks with the Heatseeker, or he chooses not to. If it's a red in his hand, he can't, which that looks to be the case. Looks to be the case that it was a red in hand, so I blocked out as much damage as I possibly could and maximize it. Now, if it was a blue in the hand, I get a little punished, to be honest. And perhaps I should have, instead of hit him for 2, I could, or 3, I should say, I could have blocked with the red Aether Ice Vein and paid 1 resource in Iron Rock Gauntlet. But instead, we didn't get punished, which that felt nice. decision here is, do I play the second Channel Lake Frigid or not? I don't think so, not yet. I'm not going to be able to keep the first one out. Okay, so Heat Seeker coming in. Okay, so that's his only arrow because he won't be able to afford to shoot again. So we're kind of chilling. We could just kind of block 6 here. And then come in with E-Strike for 7. E-Strike for 7 with a Channel Lake Frigid in the arsenal. And we're at the same life. We're in a really good position. So we're just going to keep on the pressure. Now, most of the times, Lexis don't block physical attacks. The only time that they do is if they have a 3 of a kind. We'll see if that's the case. Otherwise, if they just don't have the resources to shoot multiple arrows, they'll do it as well. Now, unfortunately, on this turn, I'm not going to be able to play Channel Lake Frigid because I have no way of keeping it around. So instead, I will look to attack. So I will probably block with one of those Command and Conquerors, if not both. We'll have to see. Okay, so you can shoot just one arrow yet again, so we're kind of chilling. The question is, do I block both, or do I block for 5, take 1, which then I get a Blood Rot, but then I come in with a CNC, which strengthens his arsenal. Looking at it now, I think I just blocked 6, coming in for 7. But I'm kind of curious what I do. I am recording over my game, kind of self-commentating, as you will. I'm really pondering it because Command and Conquer does take 2 cards out of their hand, so it's pretty disruptive in that fact. I don't know. I kind of get it, but I don't know. At the same time, I think that's where it's at. Come in for 7. We won't gain a life or anything like that, but we'll come in for 7. If they block it with 2 cards, okay. That was what's going to happen anyways. We'll still get a chip damage in. If they don't block it, then we're 8 life ahead. If you can get a life lead on Lexi, you're doing it right. Okay, so 1 Bolton shot. Not bad at all. Take those. It's probably a bit red heavy, I'd imagine. Okay. Now that's a hand I can play Channel Lake Frigid on. And we get Command and Conquer, no less. Alright, so pitching a Rain Razor kind of tells me he's pretty resource starved. He can get up to 2 resources here, but I kind of feel that we're only going to see a 1 arrow attack this turn. And I choose to do it now before the arrow goes in, before he chooses go again or not. The reason is because I wouldn't have a chance to respond in other ways until after the attack, which shot at me. So he chooses go again here. He's going to have to pitch that last card. He should have chose +1 because he's not going to be able to afford to shoot the Heat Seeker. And yeah, I'm not too worried about taking the damage. So I'm just going to, instead of using that resource for Iron Rot Gauntlet, I'm just going to shoot him for 3. That puts him down to 18. He really should have blocked with 1 resource, so he should be really at 19 because he can't do what he want to do here. Okay, so he chooses to block. That makes sense. That's how it should be. I choose to block some of the damage. I don't necessarily need an Encase in the arsenal. It's okay, but it's not like the best card. I would rather, at this point, just kind of mitigate some damage. I don't want to lose too much. So, It's interesting when we're at this decision point because yeah, I could have came in with Command and Conquer, and that would threaten some cards out. But this threatens cards out, and and I have a channeling frigid, so it's like he's still probably not going to do very much this turn. So I can kind of save the Command and Conquer for if I have a turn that's a little lackluster. So I'm already doing enough with just the channeling frigid and the Coronet Peak. So that's why we Arsenal Command and Conquer. And as mentioned in my previous video, it's perfectly fine to Arsenal a red attack, even against Lexi, because it just allows me to block with more cards to come in with a Command and Conquer, which is disruptive, no less. All right, so he's going to come in for 8 here. I can certainly block all 8 out, but instead I am going to... Okay, I see what my dilemma is. I have 2 Channel Lake Frigids. So then the question is, do I keep the second Channel Lake Frigid, or do I Arsenal the third? And I'm choosing the Arsenal the third one. I believe this is the third one we've seen this game. Because this allows me to possibly have 3 turns of Channel Lake Frigid instead of just the 2 turns. So you found a Rain Razor off the Heatseeker, which is damn good. Command Conquer looks great right now. It'll definitely take 2 cards out of his hand. And now we can put a Channel Lake Frigid in the arsenal. And so when he goes to play, I can really provide disruption. And so obviously here, he had to pitch a red to do it. I'm going to make this a very, very bad Channel Lake Frigid, or a 3 of a kind turn. Even though he has Rain Razor and 3 of a kind, it's probably just going to be a 3 of a kind. Yeah, so this one hurts. It basically costs him 2 resources just to do Lexi's ability, which gives me a Frostbite here, but I can't do much anyways, so we're okay with that. It's just now I got to think like what I'm going to be doing on my turn, and that probably means I'm going to be Coronet Peaking. Now, luckily I have 1 resource for this Winter's Bite, so it's not hurting me too much here. And what we're seeing is basically a no arrow 3 of a kind turn, and that is obviously okay. Yeah, you can't shoot it. This is a little off-kilter Lexi deck. I mean, we see a Widowmaker, but I have beaten like very competitive Lexi lists before. So I have an option here. I can Waning Moon now to deal 3 damage, break the Frostbite, or I can basically pay with Tunic, or like pay to use Tunic mana and then Aether Icebane, showing the Aether Hell, and then using the Aether Hell to pitch for Waning Moon to keep around the Channeling Frigid. But I choose just to get the free damage in. He's at 16. We are starting to get to that point where we're starting to get there. Alright, so this is Coronet Peak. Provide a bit of disruption here. He's going to be forced to play his Rain Razor. Alright. And then, yep, we just put the Aether Icebane. And look, here, now, because we have 2 ice cards, we can keep the Channel Lake Frigid for a 3rd turn, block with the Inline Strike and Brain Freeze, and basically just have a heyday. Okay. So, again, this is a questionable 3 of a kind. You know, it looks like he had Art of War, so it looks like he didn't have much to go with anyways, but we've seen all 3 of them now, so we'll see if he uses the Rain Razor here. It's just going to cost him an extra to do it. He probably has to. So he took that back, which is questionable. You know, I think that's kind of fine, because it's on competitive CC, so you want to be competitive with it. This isn't just regular CC. I chose competitive CC, so I don't think taking back three of a kind is good, like good etiquette. And I'm really not too for it, but I do think it was a odd choice and probably a very bad one to play three of a kind into a Channel Lake Frigid. Yeah, so just shooting the Heat Seeker here, I think is really where you want to be. He chooses to do the Rain Razor just to have the extra arsenal. Obviously, when he has a three of a kind in hand, that's fine trade for me. I'm totally okay with that. So now instead of the Rain Razor, he has an affecting shot, which is whatever. Here, we're going to keep the Channel Lake Frigid around. We're going to deal some Arcane, and we're going to disrupt his hand. So we're zooming. It feels good. We won't have an Arsenal, but we will have a Channel Lake Frigid, and he is getting very, very close to death. So if he takes the 2, he'll be in 11, and technically our reach is 12. So he decides to pitch, so he goes to 12. So if we are able to get a Mirror to Scolding in the arsenal and have a red Aether Ice Vein, we can reach if we have the resources for both those cards. And we can hit him for 12, assuming he cannot pay into AV. Alright. So, because I have Channel Lake Frigid up, using Tunic here isn't very good. Because you just don't... You don't increase on resources, basically. Okay, so he's just going to Winter's Bite here. I can just pay my Tunic for that, but my hand is not good. Yeah, this is actually really unfortunate that he's not sending an attack out at me, because I really would want to use that Sink Below and then sink the other Sink Below. But, yeah, that just didn't happen. So we're stuck with these cards. What we could do is Coronet Peak, or we can Polar Blast Waning Moon. Coronet Peak is just probably the better option. I want to put Polar Blast in the arsenal just so that I can get some more damage in. I have 2, and then I drop Blizzard, so we're chilling. I have 2 Sink Below, so like I can defend pretty well, so I didn't think I needed the Blizzard per se. But because he pitched a red here, I might just try to Polar Blast now. He's a little resource starved. But he's going to draw 2 cards. Yeah, we'll do a Polar Blast, pitching Polar Blast, and hoping we get something that we want in the arsenal. Red Aether Ice Vein. It's not the worst. But what's really good is that we can deal 3 damage to him with the Waning Moon to get him down to 9. And that's not a bad spot to be at. Okay, so there's that 3 of a kind that's just been chilling there forever. Having to pay extra into it. We do have the Blizzard if need be. Yeah, I could go for 3 damage here and guarantee it, but I might want to use the Ironhide Gauntlet, and I think that's what I was looking at. At this point, Lexi has no disruption on her, so she could just go ham. We're looking at Art of War 3 of a kind turn. But him pitching a red is a very good sign for me that this is just not a good hand for him. Alright, so the Falcon Wing is coming in. I can Blizzard now, just shut it down. But honestly, I think I would rather sink. And I would even consider sinking the Sink Below. And just hoping that I hit a blue. So if I hit a blue, I can play Aether Ice Vein, fuse it. Yeah, that's okay. That's cool. And look, there it is. There's our blue. So now, and it's a Cold Snap, so it's a great card to have in the arsenal. So at this point, it's 21 to 12. We could just take the rest of the damage that comes this turn. It's not the worst thing. All right. So we take 1 off that. We'll see what other arrow comes in. And it's just an infecting shot, so it's not even a big one. There's a few options here. I could full block it with Cornet Peak and Ironhide Gauntlet, but I personally would rather just put him to 3. Or deal 3 damage and put him to 9, I should say. So we take 4, effectively 6 here. That's no problem. We were at 20 life before the shot. We could go down to 14. He's at the single digits, and he's about to take an Aether Ice Vein red. So we're really in the driver's seat at this point. He can pitch a blue to prevent 1 arcane and just, but he can't do that. So now he has to give me another card. So I get to take 2 cards out of him, and I get to put a Cold Snap in the arsenal. Which, yeah, he doesn't have a arsenal for me to target, but it's basically a free card draw. Okay, so Arctic Incarceration. Now I'm kind of wondering, like, do I need to do something here? Or should I wait until Arctic Incarceration happens and then I can pay for the Cold Snap after that? And that's what I choose to do, because this allows me to kind of get rid of the Sink Below. Or just 2 blues. Which, that's what I choose. Yeah, that makes more sense, actually. Okay, so let's see what we get here. And not much. Not very much at all. So, yeah, unfortunately, we're going to be stuck with the Sink Below. I can choose to use it, pitch it first, and then Heart of Fandle for Coronet Peak and put the Aether Ice Vein in the arsenal. We'll see if I do that. But he's down to 2 health, so the Aether Ice Vein on its own just might be enough. Okay, so that's what I do. I'm smart. Alright, this puts him down to 3 cards in hand, and yeah, he's basically dead, honestly, since he only has AB1. We'll play it safe as if he could have an Oasis Respite. You know, we've seen some spicy cards in that deck, so, you know, nothing's off the table. But yeah, him saying GG is a pretty good sign that we just won. And it'll be a game we didn't have to use Storm Shredders. But yeah, right now, what we can do is we can present 7-10. We can present 10 damage. Obviously, we don't even have to. If he responds with an Oasis Respite, we can respond with a Waning Moon. And if he responds to that, then I guess he has it. Alright. There's the win. A bit of a questionable Lexi as far as the choices, but, you know, we're not all perfect. But, yeah, you just see that we kind of were able to take control. Like I said, I have faced Lexis that have been more competitive and still able to get there. This deck has just even gotten better with Bullseye Bracer going out. So let's now go to the Azalea matchup, because I think she will also be around. All right, we have the Azalea matchup now. And this one can be pretty one-sided at times, honestly. Just because it depends on how fast Azalea gets going. If you get to a point where you're full blocking, you're kind of in trouble. So you really want to try to provide as much disruption as possible. Alright, so on the first turn, we could give our Command and Conquer possible dominate and then come in for 6, but I just don't see that being a real factor. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much to this turn. So I'm just going to look at his hand to kind of see what I should expect for next turn. I see a Plague Hive. So, you know, I put a card on top and that's what I'm going to end up doing, but it just doesn't really matter. I'm just going to be looking at what he has and kind of determining. He does have AB2, so I could come in. Well, no, so it doesn't matter to come in or not, because he'll just use Plague Hive if he does. Yeah, there's not too much of a point. So now it's just a matter of, am I going to Arsenal the Command Conquer or the Polar Blast? I'm buying Arsenal the Command Conquer. because it's just disruption. And Lexi, or not Lexi, Azalea tries to have a card in the arsenal by the end. That's kind of her thing, so she can use Goldbone Cross Wraps. Pointed tip, a bit of a spicy card, but it does kind of, weirdly enough, work sometimes. So this is coming in for an 8. Which threatens to destroy my arsenal because of Seek and Destroy. I can block with 3 cards here. Block that damage out. Rain Razors, so he gets over. So before I had the option, I could just Coronet Peak, but now it's like, yeah, no, I have to come in with Command Conquer. And unfortunately, there's just no targets, but 6 damage is 6 damage. We do have to take the Blood Rot, but, you know, but the secret to this deck is we deal physical damage. We have to. Red Spire Sniping, a bit spicy as well. I don't mind the blues for sure, and the yellows could even be good, but the red might just be a little too much. But it does allow you to get these dominate turns. Now, luckily, Red Ledger does very little to us. It's kind of annoying because in this hand, we could have Winter's Bite into E-Strike. But yeah, now we're definitely... So he didn't give the encounter, so I don't have to worry about him taking a card out of my hand. So now we just give him a card. But yeah, we could have Winter's Bite into E-Strike and draw a card, which would have been super ideal. Now we just have to E-Strike for 7 in Arsenal. More than likely the Winter's Bite, just because Disruption's a little bit more important than damage in this game. But yeah, I mean, it allows us to come in big, right? And, you know, Azalea doesn't really ever block with more than 1 card, so we're getting damage through, and we're staying in close proximity to her life. I'm going to try to save this Winter's Bite to use it at a time that will just, like, disrupt her. Okay, so we're going to look at another Dominated Arrow. Again, just going to kind of wait to use this Winter's Bite. Going to see if I can get him to put in a pump and, I don't know, just try to have the Frostbite make it where he can't shoot. Yeah, he does have the Tunic, unfortunately, so he could pay for it with the Tunic. But if he uses the Tunic resource, that'll be very good for us. Alright, so it's just coming in for 5. So then the question becomes, you know, do I need to do it now? Probably not. And I can just kind of block. And we'll see if there's like a Rain Razor or something. Yeah, so now I'm wondering if I should play Encase or Icebind. Because both would be good. But because Azalea could move with her ability to move the arsenal, even if it's frozen, Encase is definitely a little bit better. Now what I could have chose to do is Winter's Bite, but because he had Spring Tunic on 3, I'll choose not to Winter's Bite. But now he won't be able to use the Spring Tunic. And now I can just pitch to deal a bit of arcane damage. And now I'm above him on life. And we'll take it, right? So we at least here, we're not going to have to worry about a Dominated Arrow. Now coming in for 7 is just annoying, to say the least. I'm going to choose to block with the Gauntlet here. And yeah, so Icebind's pretty nice that I only need those 2 cards to really make it work. Unfortunately, though, it's just he has go again. He can keep going with his turn, and now he's threatening my arsenal. And now I can make him pay or discard a card is what they would choose. So yeah, my arsenal is going to be threatened, so that's why I chose to just do the Winter's Bite. Actually, I really shouldn't have done it, and I think I remember kind of feeling that way. I should have just waited on the Winter's Bite and just used it on my turn, just to do even if it was just to get the Tunic out, just to disrupt. So I'm in a bit of a scary spot here because I literally did nothing. So Not great, hopefully, but here Azalea just kind of had one of those things where she had no arrows, and we were blessed. And so now we can come in for a woundable for 8, and then arsenal the brain freeze. And we were, like I said, we were blessed. Um, I could have done something on that turn. Like I said, I misplayed as well, so maybe I misplayed, so he misplayed. Maybe all is fair, but boy, he didn't misplay. He just had a very unfortunate hand of all pumps. But we're back in it now, obviously. Alright, so puts it on top, so it has to be an arrow. Or now just Memorial Grounds anyways. So it's another Red Ledger. Again, Red Ledger just doesn't do very much against us, so we're fine with that. Premeditate. So yeah, so he's definitely going to get his Ponder token and be able to do everything. And all we can do is just block for 4. And that's just how it is. But at least he's not being super disruptive to us. I'd be curious if I sink an Ice Bolt. He is at 17, but I don't know. I could totally see sinking an Ice Bolt. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I like a red Aether Ice Man anyways more. Because now all we need is just to have 2 cards in our hands and we can have a good turn. And when she's dominating arrows, it's not the hardest thing to have 2 cards in our hand. Coming in for 8 here. He full takes it. Now he's in the single digits. Now we're really chilling. Alright, and we have a Channel Lake Frigid. So if we can even try to get that in the arsenal. Alright, so I don't think he's wanting a Death Dealer here. He doesn't have an open slot. If anything, he's trying to get cards out of his hand. Yeah, that makes sense. So he's just trying not to discard cards, I suppose. Or just have... Yeah, that makes sense. So now he has a resource loading to shoot whatever arrow he needs to. Which, of course, is Red Ledger. That's the only thing we've ever seen this turn, or this game. Alright, so he's going to have 2 Ponder tokens. 3 Ponder tokens, because of the Codex Browser, which is kind of gnarly. I have a couple options here, to be honest with you. I could just block for 7, block with the Sink Below and the channel, and come in with the Phoenix Fighting Spirit. He's at 9 health, so he would have to respect it. Otherwise, I can go... Yeah, so that's what I'm going to choose to do. I actually really like this move, because yeah, shooting the Aether Ice Man, fusing it would have felt pretty good. But he's at a point where he's going to have to block. So us coming with the Fighting Spirit is going to, demand blocks and take cards out of his hand anyways. This is essentially what we're hoping for, at least, his last big turn. So, presenting lethal, we're going to basically just take 7, get our life halved. But then we get to gain 1 life because of Phoenix Fighting Spirit. We'll go to 8, he'll be at 9. Be at 9 with 7 coming down his throat. So now I'm just going to do one of those friendly little dots just to get things going. Sometimes that's what you got to do. Just helps them refresh sometimes, because sometimes that's just what happens. It's not aggressive or anything. Alright. And here we go. So you can see here, it's like, with Iyslander, you get, this is what I'm talking about as far as being adaptable. There was a clear play pattern to play Aether Ice Man and put the Channel Lake Frigid in. And in most situations, I would do that. But when we're at a low life, when we're, going back and forth and I'm trying to take cards out of hand, this is the way to do it. This is how I'm going to achieve it. And I just don't think I actually needed to have Channel Lake Frigid at this late in the game. So despite it being such a good card against Lexi, I chose to block with it instead. You can see here we get the armor and 2 cards And so yeah, we're getting to that point where she's making less than ideal plays, which is exactly where we want to be. But yeah, it's just, play it to your best ability. But what I kind of really mean by that is just be willing to change. Change your game plan if need be. So here I'm just going to block for 6. And the reason is because... Am I trying to think of something else here? Oh, am I trying to think about arsenaling it? I don't think I need to do that. I think just block 6. I'm going to be able to red Aetherized Vein. I'm thinking too much. Yeah, I'm not really too worried about what he's shooting. I would be if I only blocked 3. I guess I had the Coronet Peak, so I can, if it's like a drill shot, I can still block it. But if it's a Codex of Frailty, I could get really punished. Okay. Okay, so let me just explain what I'm probably thinking of. Looking back on it, I think I'm just like blocking 6. What I'm thinking of is, okay, so what's Codex? If I red Aetherized Vein, and then I can come in with Waning Moon for 2 more, and then put the yellow Aetherized Vein in the arsenal, then I basically have the game. But to be 100% honest, I think I had the game anyways. I don't think I really had to mess around. Oh, actually, yeah, I don't even need red Aetherized. Why not yellow Aetherized Vein? Save the red. Yeah, I actually think that's the play. So he has AB2, so at most, this is dealing 2, or I mean, at least it's dealing 2 damage. But it's still making him discard a card. And then I come in for 2 more, which he can prevent that as well. But then he will have 1 card in hand and 1 in arsenal. Yeah. Here I'm just trying to guarantee the win. Alright, so we see a Brain Razor. Luckily with Azalea, she has to kind of present everything before attacking. So like I can kind of just be patient and just wait before going for the kill shot. So them pitching a red, this might be my best chance because it's probably an arrow in hand. So even if they can survive this turn, which would be pretty hard pressed, it would have to be a blue arrow, then they won't have an arrow to load and their turn's over. But yeah, we'll have to see. But, red Aetherized Vein with a Wayman, yeah. So it was a red arrow, and so therefore we were good to go. Again, don't think I had to play it like that, but it did work, right? It did guarantee me the win, which, I could... When you're going against heroes that have kind of just above rate cards, kind of like Codex of Frailty, then I can understand trying to, guarantee the win versus just playing patiently. Give and take, Either way, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and I hope this helped out.
All right, guys, just want to wrap things up with saying thanks for watching. Hope this learned a little bit. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments. Even make any critiques. I'm always open for that. I'm learning from you guys just as much as you guys are learning from me. And yeah, let me know if there's a matchup that you haven't seen me play yet that you really want to see. I know Dromai is a pretty big one. I haven't really been able to get a Dromai on Dallas Shark quite yet, but if there's any other matchups that you guys really want to learn and really want to see, let me know, and I can make an additional video to this series. So not a problem at all. But yeah, leave any questions, comments. I'll get back to them as soon as possible. But again, just thanks for watching, guys.